All in Sports Network. We love sports.
Coming to you Lone Stars and Longhorns, this is All In Colts, presented by the Unstable Blues.
Welcome back in. This episode, we'll take a look at the fantasy stats and projections of Colts players to see if there's anyone you want to pick up on the waiver wire this week. So, let's go. All In Colts.
I'm Kevin. This is my son Liam, and we are the Unstable Blues. Happy to present All In Colts as part of the Rogue Media Sports Network.
Yep. Quick Colts corner bulletin, as always. Latu is listed as a day-to-day and did not practice Wednesday. Blackman did, though. And Josh First Downs, or JFD for short, says he's ready to play this week, so he might be back.
Yeah, I think that would change quite a bit of the offense. There's been discussions around of how valuable or game-changing he can be for this offense that struggles to seem to stay on the field with, first downs. So maybe JFD will be able to do something about that.
Yeah.
I lost this week to your sister. It was a championship rematch.
It was.
I mean, I didn't know that
she came with vengeance.
I didn't know Tua was going to get hurt and Reek wasn't going to be able to do anything,
Yeah. I ended up winning, so I am now the only person in the league that is 2-0 because you lost, and then the person I was playing was the other 1-0 person, and I ended up winning that, and then Collier was also another person, and I believe
beat him.
No.
Collier was not, because you beat him the first week.
That's right. Hendrick was the other one, and Jake ended up winning against him.
Well, no, so, the two younger boys played each other. So
that's right. Yeah.
Hendrick lost to Collier.
Yeah. Regardless, I am still the only undefeated person left. Go me.
And now we play each other.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. I need to change all my things because I still have not done that yet. I wait till the very latest possible opportunity to change everybody.
Sure.
So
absolutely. Speaking of which, did you hear that the 49ers could have gotten in trouble?
Oh, for what?
Because of not reporting CMC before Monday, the first Monday, because it was Monday.
Yeah.
And, if people have a lot of money on fantasy, that really messes with them, because, according to the league, they can report as late as an hour and a half before the game. But when you have a player of that caliber, you're not reporting it. And then there were some reports that some players knew by like as early as Friday that he wasn't going to play. So,
Interesting.
Of course, they couldn't, prove anything. So, but that may have led to the Eagles reporting earlier, AJ Brown, and things like that. Somebody wants to get in trouble. Nobody wants to get in trouble.
Exactly.
It's what happens when you let outside money into the league. You get all these it's not, you don't have to, but man, if you don't, we're going to get a lot of people mad at us and things like that. But
exactly. Yeah.
All that to say, we are just casual people in the fantasy world. So this is just fun for us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Take it away.
With a little bit of bragging rights, obviously.
Oh yeah.
All right. So now for the Colts specific players. First off, we got the quarterback, Anthony Richardson, who I did not put. Oh wait, yeah, I did. Last week he ended up getting 9.9 points. I just rounded it to 10. I think, as you see, I'll round it to either half a point or a full point. So I mean, obviously, not as great as the prior week. He had 26 points, but you're not going to ask for 26 points out of your quarterback every week. You're lucky to get 20 most of the time. So I think obviously he threw the 3 interceptions, which was a big cost of all of the fantasy points dropping. a touchdown is worth more than a interception is worth loss. So if he has 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions, it's not as drastic. But I think if you get into that 3 interception range, you just lose so much points from that. So that's definitely a killer.
I have a question about this, and
Okay.
we've kind of talked about this, but okay, so he had 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
But one of them was on a Hail Mary at the end of the game, down by what? 6?
6, yeah.
By 6, right? On literally the last play of the game. Most smart human beings who know something about football would kind of go, yeah, that interception doesn't really count, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we kind of give him a pass on that. Shouldn't fantasy be weighted in that with a game scenario? I know that could be subjective in a way, but I've talked about this specifically with kickers. Like you hit a game-winning field goal with zeros on the clock, that should be worth more because of the amount of pressure that there is in that situation. And
I agree.
I don't think it would be too difficult to do that. Your thoughts?
I think the kicker thing is definitely something that should be implemented. Like if it's a 50-plus yarder, then I mean nowadays 50 pluses are kind of casual. If it's like a 55 plus, for good kickers, if it's 55 plus or something like that, then I think it definitely should be like there should be something implemented where the points has a scale or something like that, or something like that. But I think, like for example, the quarterback thing, I think that the interception should still be applied, because I have 2 ways of thinking of this. One way being, okay, you're gonna count if you don't count the interception, but if he throws a touchdown in that, are you gonna count the touchdown? I get it's a game-winning touchdown, but in a different scenario, if you're down 30-10 and you throw an interception, you're not going to count that. But if you're going to score a touchdown in garbage time whenever you're down by 20 points and it doesn't do anything, are you going to count that touchdown? I get what you're saying, but I think it still is – the quarterback is still – and I think it's fantasy, you got to look at it as like, yes, you track the stats, but it's only stat-based. It's not game situational or anything like that, and you kind of got to understand that going into fantasy, and that you got to choose around people who have good, consistent stats, not have big games on the line or something like that. So
I got you.
I don't think that should cross over as much, unless, of course, the kicker, because the kicker is kind of invaluable at this point. Unless you have that type of thing, then you're like, okay, Justin Tucker is a bigger priority than maybe a 3rd or 4th string wide receiver, or
not much anymore,
or Brandon Aubrey, I should say.
Yeah,
or Jake Moody or someone like that.
Yeah, I actually switched from Justin Tucker.
Interesting.
Yep. Yeah, his numbers are down to 14% in the last 2 years of 50 plus.
Wow.
So it was time.
Yeah. So
moving on.
Yes. Obviously, AR didn't do great compared to other quarterbacks. I don't remember who were the top quarterbacks this week. But I know there were some, 20-point people as normal. And then, of course, the average 18, 17, 16 points. And, I mean, AR is below that in his average. I think is averaging about 17.7 points per week, which is pretty average, pretty good, pretty solid. Yeah. So I think that he definitely he's definitely still a solid quarterback to keep in your lineup. The projected for this upcoming week is 17 points, kind of how I already pointed out.
Yeah.
I think.
Would you play him this week against the Bears? We will talk a little bit about this more tomorrow in our game preview. But would you play him against this defense?
Yeah, I would play him.
Okay.
I think it's like I don't see a reason not to. Yes, he threw interceptions, like you said. One of them was kind of just on a Hail Mary. And then he knows what he needs to do for the other 2 interceptions. He knows what he can work on and stuff like that. So I don't see a problem with you putting him in for fantasy at all.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Next person on the list is Michael Pittman Jr. Last week he had 5 points. So for him, that is below average. But I mean, so far this year, that seems to be about his average.
Yeah.
He is still projected to get around 14 points this upcoming week. I think I could. I mean, for me, it depends. Like a lot of, I keep coming back to this. It depends on how big your league is. If you have a bigger 12, 14 person league, something like that, I'd play him. If you have someone like a 8-person league or a 6-person league, you obviously have good backups on your bench. I think it wouldn't hurt. I mean, for this week specifically, I don't know if I would play him because he'll have Jalen Johnson on him, who is a very, very solid corner. So I don't know if I would play him this week. I think maybe this week kind of have a test week to see if someone else is going to do better. As like last week, I kept him out and I played Deebo Samuel instead, and that worked out for me. I'm not playing MPJ specifically for myself until I see at least one good week out of him. So I'm kind of going on a week-to-week basis with him.
All right. Makes sense. Yeah.
Next is Adonai Mitchell, another wide receiver. Last week he had 4 points, which is an improvement from 1.2 to 4 points. Still not someone I would necessarily start because he's not getting all the reps and everything, because I would say we do have a pretty even spread of wide receivers. So, I mean, I think out of all the wide receivers, this would probably be the one that I would not play in any circumstance. Now, I hope he makes me regret it this week. But, I mean, as I say in every week, he is projected to get 5.5 points this week. So above the points he got last week, but he was also projected to get 6 or something like that last week. So, I mean,
I saw a stat where he's near the top as far as separation measurables, like
gotcha.
How he separates, because we saw this past week, he had one drop that was right on his hands that he should have had. He had another one where he gave up on the route that was coming to him. And then another one that was the option. He was probably the better option, but the corner just played kind of he and Pitt right in the middle and just made the right call for the interception, kind of baited AR into it. So there's possibilities. Like let's not be mistaken and go, well, Adonai Mitchell's just a complete bust. But so keep him on the radar is what I would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And almost like a Pitt situation. Keep him on the radar, man. If he starts to click with AR, better watch out. And some of that might be due to Josh first downs that we talked about coming back. That might unlock a whole lot to the offense for the Colts that we just don't realize,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's the fact that I would say the same thing about AD as I would say about MPJ. Just keep him on your kind of how you say keep him on your radar week-to-week basis. Once he has I wouldn't say one good week like it is for MPJ, but once he has maybe 2-3 good weeks, keep him okay, maybe I'll play him. Next person though is Alec Pierce.
Speaking of needing to apologize, and
I don't think I need to apologize anymore.
Not anymore, no.
He had 16.5 points this past week, so another really good week out of him. obviously it's good for him. He's been doing good these first 2 weeks, regardless of the Colts as a whole. I don't. I believe he's top in the league in like top 6, top 7, something like that.
Yeah, he's like top 5. What was that stat I sent you? It was like this one of those graph
Efficiency,
things, and
like
he was
receiving efficiency. Like
yeah,
I think it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like how many yards per catch or something like that.
yeah, yards per catch, and targets, and all that. Like he was top 5, along with Justin Jefferson and I
Jalen
can't
Reed was
remember.
up there.
Yeah, like good receivers, and all of a sudden Alec Pierce is just like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah. So I would say out of everyone, this is who I would keep my eye on the most. Maybe if you're in a bigger league, I would honestly play him this week, maybe in like the flex position or something like that. If you're in a smaller, maybe just keep him on your roster, keep my eye on him. He's projected to get 7 points this week. And these past couple weeks, he's been doing, I would say, above average for wide receivers. I think the top wide receivers have kind of been underperforming this year.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely this is like my number 1 wide receiver for the Colts at this point. Then we talk about the last wide receiver, JFD.
You got it.
He had 0 points last week. The only thing I had to say about this is he was hurt.
Yep.
So obvious. He's projected to get about 6 points coming back. If he comes back, I think he'll be able to surprise a lot of people. I wouldn't pick him up the very first week. Keep him on your radar. Like all these wide receivers, keep him on your radar.
I picked him up.
I'm not surprised. I figured you did.
You know why? Because you know I love to do this kind of stuff. I told you about this like before, like in our fantasy preview, before we were even all in Colts. Like I picked him up when he was out.
And then you put him on your IR.
Straight on the IR, so I don't have to do anything else, right?
Yep. But you don't waste a draft pick on him because he's out. And I got you.
Yep. And so, so like it worked out great for me because now, even though he's questionable, I can still keep him on IR until they really need him, or until they force me somehow to do that. That usually doesn't happen until like right before game time or something like that. But I think I have somebody else that I can switch out.
Gotcha.
But
okay,
yeah. So
that's good though.
It's a little strategery there that I don't mind to tell you, even though I'm playing you this week.
Kind of like my defense strategy.
Yeah. Right. Little tidbits, little insights. You never know. Like we're not fantasy experts here, but we know
our way around things.
Yeah. Sure.
Yep. And then
remember way back when the NFL had like their little kid app.
Oh my goodness. I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, I wish that came. I want to do that.
I forget what that was called, but basically you just like
you
could build your own fantasy team from whoever you wanted.
Yeah, it was like NFL fan, like official NFL fantasy or something like that.
Yeah, but it was like specific for kids. So like literally like you weren't in a league, you had nothing on it whatsoever other than like I did good, and you could pick up any player that you wanted that you thought was going to do good, and that was fun. We would you guys would sit there on like Sunday afternoon right before the games. Oh, let me try this. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Definitely fun.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Yes, moving on to Jonathan Taylor. Last week he had 15.5 points. I mean, pretty average as a running back. Good for him.
Didn't play in the fourth.
Didn't play in the fourth quarter. In the first game that he had, he went for 10 points. Who knows what would have happened if he actually played in this fourth quarter. I think, honestly, he should have. I get they had to throw the ball, but he can still catch the ball. He proved himself. What was it? I think it was kind of the last bit of last year that he can be a receiving back. He showed promise for that.
I think the issue, honestly, is more pass protection. I don't know that his pass protection is what it should be. And so if they decide that they're bringing 6,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he, one, is able to pick up even a 5th guy really well. Two, make that decision of who to pick up, especially if they're bringing 6 and stunting. Like, I'm not sure if, he's a great running back, right? And as you mentioned, he's a great receiving back, right? I'm totally cool splitting him out and putting him in motion and using him as decoy and all these different things. But when you have to throw the ball like they did, when you are in definite situations to do that, I get it.
Yeah.
My issue was all the fourth quarter, specifically that option. He's not in there. You're going to put Trey Sermon on the 3rd and 1 option where you know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you don't make that, you're going for it on 4th down, provided you didn't lose 3 or 4 yards. And you know that Jonathan Taylor is going to be in there on the 4th down. You're wanting to put a different back end from 3rd down to 4th down, change personnel, allow them to change personnel in that kind of situation. To me, that's like I mentioned in our game recap, you can go back and watch. To me, that's why that play was so big. And then you put the icing on the cake, and Matt Gay missed the 50-yarder right after that. To me, that not the first quarter run defense, because that kind of got fixed along the way, but that play encapsulates why the Colts really ended up losing that game.
Yeah.
And so
I think if JT's in for that 3rd and 1, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to run the option. I don't mind the option call. I think it's
like I told you, like I forgot to mention in the recap, I was thinking they needed to go old school, vintage option kind of stuff, 2 back sets option, all kinds of different creative stuff in Lambeau with that kind of defense. And knowing what they were going to want to do is run the ball. Well, how do you combat that? Run the ball right at them, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they want to control the clock, you control the clock right back, and we're going to see who's going to win this short game. How I used to beat you in Madden all the time. Run the ball and blitz. That's, maybe the Colts need to run the ball and blitz and do a Kevin Hall Madden special.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's neither here nor there. But yes, so JT, solid, needs to be in there more. Can do
definitely.
more if provided. And as you mentioned, really good receiving back if given the option.
Whenever it comes back to fantasy, next week he's supposed to get 17.5 points. I think the week prior he was supposed to get 18 points. I mean, it dropped a little bit, but not that much. I'd keep him in still. I am personally.
I say like this Bears defense is a little bit is hard to tell, right? Like they can get gassed. They can get gassed for the run because with Sweat and what's his face on the other side, they're so worried about getting upfield that they leave open spaces, right? And the Colts have, I don't know if you saw this, the Colts offensive line is numero uno in pass protection and numero cuatro in, that's number 4 for those only English speakers, in run blocking.
Interesting. I like that.
Did you see the Quentin Nelson block that's going around?
Maybe. Oh, the one where he just straight up nail a guy?
Well, so the guy like comes to him, right? He's just sitting there waiting, and like he tries not to get a penalty, right? Because who knows what you're gonna get a penalty for now. Like he just kind of like waits for him to come and kind of goes boop, knocks him clean over, and then right at the end it's like, you okay? You good? Like just checks on him. You okay?
That's
It's
awesome.
like they're calling it like the nicest block ever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
and moving on to the final thing. Yes, it's the final thing. Defense, which is last week they got 2 points. I've wrote my notes talk about Gus Bradley. Don't play the Colts defense special teams unless Gus fixes stuff. Wait for him to correctly. Don't wait for one good week. Don't wait for one good week. Wait for multiple good weeks. Wait till Gus will correct something or there's a coaching change or something happens. Just wait. They're projected to get 6 points because it's the Bears. But still, don't play them. And then, obviously, there's the tight end. As I mentioned in the first week, don't play the Colts tight ends.
I took the question out. I just took the question out. I didn't even do it.
Yep.
I didn't even do it. I mean,
I still referenced it. Just don't play the tight ends.
Mark my words. This could be entirely different with Josh first downs in there. It might open up Kylan Granson. It might open up Drew Ogletree. It might open up a whole slew of offense that we didn't even know. But we'll talk about that tomorrow in our preview. Yep. That's neither here nor there for our fantasy stable.
Yep.
So I guess that's it. Don't play defense. I mean,
don't play the defense.
To play defense.
Yes. In fantasy, don't play
their defense until they prove that they can play defense.
Yes.
Because I mean, you got a quarterback that loves to roll out and go side to side. And if there's definitely one weakness of the Colts that we've seen defensively this season, it's working the edges.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely,
that's too much of a risk. Don't risk it for that brisket. It ain't worth it.
Or biscuit. Don't do
it. Well, that's it for today. Tomorrow we will be back with our preview of the Bears game in the Loud House. We will give you our keys to the game, matchups to watch, and all-in player to watch, and our prediction of the outcome.
This is Liam.
And this is Kevin.
Reminding you to stay all in Colts.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.